Food insecurity affects nearly 2.3 billion people worldwide. The reasons vary between inflation, poverty, and climate change. They all play a role depending on where you live. University students are no exception. The issue shows up in skipped meals, tight budgets, and the quiet struggle of students trying to push through their day on an empty stomach.
Food insecurity as a student often means having to constantly budget every dollar. Skipping meals or having to rely on instant noodles or ramen or whatever is the cheapest and not what's most nutritious. It can also look like going to bed hungry, avoiding social events that require, eating out or that involve food to some degree. Or it can also mean something as important as, feeling hungry in class and struggling to focus because of that.
In Canada, nearly 4 in 10 post-secondary students report experiencing food insecurity. At Laurier, like on many campuses, food often becomes the first thing to cut when money runs out. But globally, there's a bigger crisis unfolding, one that links food insecurity with the changing climate. Around the world, the food crisis is spreading everywhere, from failed harvests in East Africa, to gang violence disrupting food resources in Haiti, to rising grocery costs here in Ontario. The people most affected are often the ones with the least power to adapt.
I wish people knew that food insecurity isn't just about being bad at budgeting, it's more of a systemic problem. Rent, tuition, textbooks, transportation costs, all of those add up for students, and food is always the cost that ends up being cut at the end. It's also a problem that affects mental health, physical health, academic performance, and self-worth. It's not always visible, and a lot of students end up suffering in silence rather than speaking out about it because they feel ashamed to ask for help.
Have you had to make tough choices regarding food?
Yes, there's actually been many times where I've had to make those tough decisions as a student. There's been weeks where I had to choose between either buying groceries or saving up for a certain textbook that I need, or affording my bus pass, or even using less heating in the wintertime so that way my utilities bill will be lower so I can keep my grocery budget intact. These decisions become a part of your regular life as a student, and they do wear you down over time.
For university students, food insecurity affects both physical and mental health, academic performances, and overall self-esteem. And this almost triples for international students, with no family nearby and no safety net to fall back on. At Laurier, support systems like the food bank, which is run by the student union, aim to fill this gap, providing students with access to essential groceries and hygiene items, no questions asked. But the demand continues to grow, especially as the rising food prices continue to grow even higher.
The first thing that I think universities and government roles should be doing is to stop pretending that food insecurity isn't as big of an issue as it really is. It affects most students, if not all, to some extent. Not to mention there's a really big population of international students that don't have a support system within the country or anywhere nearby to fall back on in case they do feel food insecure, and universities and other governmental roles should be able to provide for those students that do not have a support system.
Solving food insecurity isn't just about handing out free food. It's about building sustainable, resilient systems on campuses, in communities, and globally. Food insecurity is a problem that simply just shouldn't exist in the 21st century, and it's time we start acting on this problem.